I have read that you are a third generation lawyer. I want to know what inspired you to become a lawyer, and also I want you to share your story of becoming a taxation lawyer.
All right. Okay. So, as you said, I'm a third generation lawyer. So, you can say reading law runs into my DNA. But I'll tell you, practicing law or reading law was the last thing that I did. Okay. I always had inclination for accounts. I am a commerce graduate. I am an accountant. I was always inclined towards accounts. I also did my MBA. Okay, I did my MBA in finance. So I was more always initially inclined towards accounting. Law, I believe, happened by chance because in our days, in those days, we never had the 5 year law course. Okay, all of you are very, very fortunate and very lucky. You should all be thankful that you have dedicated 5 year law course programs, which are more like structured programs where you are completely trained into the subject. Okay, we did not have that. So I did my 3 year law course from Bombay University. Okay, we was affiliated with Jitendra Chauhan Law College, and that was an evening school. You will not believe it was an evening school, and evening we had evening classes from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. And since we were working, so most of the time it will not be possible for us to attend the classes also. But after I did my law, I mean, I was fortunate when I appeared for the papers. I was university gold medalist at all 3 years of law. I was fortunate. Or I think that the university did not have that much of pool of talent at that time, so that they awarded the gold degree to me. So this is how I started my career in law.
And so, how did taxation law happen?
So again, as I said, I was always interested in accounts. Okay, maybe that was an inkling or an inclination for doing tax or commercial taxation subjects. Though that was never what I had planned. I'll be honest and candid. I never thought that I'm going to do this because I'll be honest with all of you. All of your friends, fellow colleagues. I always wanted to be a criminal lawyer. I always wanted to be, once I started studying law, I always wanted to be a criminal lawyer. In fact, I had interned also with one of the leading criminal lawyers for about 5 years. Okay. In those days, in our days, we never had formal internships that you have these days in your 5 year law schools. But still, I wanted to understand, get the feel of the court, get the feel of how the courts function, and how matters are being taken up by lawyers in the court. I had interned with a criminal lawyer for about 5 years. But once I qualified, I realized that we never used to get paid in those days. So I realized that you need some money. You need to be paid for at least what services that you are providing. So I joined Mr. Anil Bilani. He was an acquaintance in those days. So I joined Mr. Anil Bilani, and in fact, he introduced me to Mr. Sridharan, okay, of Lakshmi Kumaran and Sridharan. And he introduced me to Mr. Sridharan saying that this boy is a university gold medalist and he should be working with you. And that's how I joined LKS and my career in tax litigation started.
Okay, sir. So, sir, in today's time, what are the career opportunities in the area of taxation?
Okay. And as far as career opportunities are concerned, okay, let me first tell you, independent of tax or irrespective of tax, according to me, the legal profession, as I see it today, has phenomenal opportunity. And I do not only say this qua litigation. Tax litigation is a part or a very small or minuscule part of the entire litigation sphere that we have in our country. There is phenomenal scope, there is phenomenal growth that we are going to see in the legal profession. Apart from lawyers being required at every stage, at every point, we are going to need lawyers in every walk of life. So therefore, all you young budding lawyers, okay, I think there is great opportunity for all of you. That is one. Second, as far as the tax litigation is concerned, okay, the area of taxation law is concerned, that again is very wide. Litigation again is a small part of the entire tax law sphere. As far as tax law is concerned, it includes a lot of advisory, a lot of compliance, a lot of legal compliance, a lot of legal issues where you may not be on a day-to-day basis into hardcore litigation, or may not be arguing in the courts, or may not be available in the courts, but you do deal with tax law as a subject, because tax law is a very wide subject, and it is most importantly an ever changing and ever growing subject. Therefore, you need to be abreast with the latest developments in the law. because you have circulars being issued, you have notifications being issued, you have so many amendments every year, every budget, every financial year brings about amendments. So you need to be abreast with the law.
Okay, sir. Sir, participant is asking, is tax law practice monotonous and technical?
Monotonous. I do
Yes.
not think it is monotonous. Okay. Technical, I agree. Technical, I agree. It is not monotonous. I believe reading any law can never be monotonous. And monotonous, whosoever is asking, I'm just answering your question, is very, very subjective. If you like something, okay, if you like doing something, it will never be monotonous. So if you ask Michael Phelps, do you like swimming? Don't you get bored of 20 medals or 25 medals? What would be his answer? Therefore, my suggestion or my recommendation for all of you would be, please do something that you like. Always do something that you like. If you are passionate about something, it will always bring out the best in you. You will never get bored of it and you will never feel that it is monotonous. I, for one, can speak for myself. Okay. I am in love with the courts. I love the judiciary. I love all the judges. And I must tell you all this. Okay, not many people say this. I am wanting to say this. Each judge in our country, right from the district judiciary to the Supreme Court of India, is doing a phenomenal and remarkable job with limited infrastructure. All of them are doing a great job. So if I feel passionate about the courts, I feel passionate about litigation, I feel passionate about the matters that I do, then it'll never be monotonous.
Okay, sir. So it's very subjective and it's up to you.
All of you rather not as legal professionals. If I feel that I'm passionate about drawing, if I feel I'm passionate about skating, if I feel I'm passionate about cricket, we should do that. Then only I think you will excel, and two, you will never find it monotonous.
Yes, sir. Sir, participant is asking, is chartered accountancy course compulsory to become a taxation lawyer?
It's a very good question, and answer is an emphatic no. There is no need that you should be from a commerce background. There is no need that you should be a chartered accountant. There is no need that you should be a cost accountant. I will tell you that many of the leading lawyers of the country who practice taxation have no commerce background also. And I say this is because you are reading law as a subject, law not as drafting of a balance sheet or preparing a balance sheet. So suppose when you read marital law, you don't need to be married for it. So therefore, according to me, this is a very good question. It's a misconception that everybody should clear from their minds, that you need to be a chartered accountant to become a good or a successful tax litigation lawyer. I'm not saying for a minute also that it does not help. It certainly helps. It certainly helps. It certainly helps you understand the matter better, but it is not a requirement. It is not compulsory.
Okay, sir. So the next question, what are the skills required to be a successful taxation lawyer?
Skills to be a successful taxation lawyer. I think that's the same skill that you need to be successful a lawyer, rather any lawyer. If you want to be a successful lawyer, the most important thing according to me is hard work. And this goes for not only our profession, in any sphere of life, at any profession. There is no substitute for hard work. Please take it from me. There is no substitute for hard work. You have to work hard with average intelligence. You don't need to be super intelligent also. Not everybody is gifted. With average intelligence and hard work, a lawyer, according to me, I'm talking about our profession, a lawyer can go places. There is no substitute for hard work. That is one. Second, most importantly, is to become a successful lawyer is humility. And I don't mean to say that you should be humble, etc. Humility, as far as the subject is concerned, as far as the law is concerned, I would like to tell all of you is that law will stump you, the courts will stump you, the judgments will stump you. Therefore, there should be always a humility in a lawyer that yes, even if the court does not agree with me, that does not make me right always in what I'm arguing. The humility in a litigation lawyer, I'm talking this for about all litigation lawyers, should be the humility should be to observe and see, yes, there is a possibility that the other side could be right, could be correct. These are the two most important virtues that I feel personally are very, very important for any lawyer who wants to succeed in litigation.
Okay, sir. And sir, what are the laws that come within the ambit of tax law? If you can list the legislations that are covered in tax law. and a student needs to master?
As far as the tax law, it's a very, very wide subject. Okay. Most importantly, in the income tax, which affects all of us. Then you have the so-called indirect tax law, indirect tax regime. Earlier, you had the service tax, the central excise, customs duty is still there. And now you have the Goods and Service Tax Act, the GST law. Apart from this, you have other local laws as well. So local laws, when I say local laws, means the laws at municipal levels, at the local levels. They may not be at pan India level or national level. So you have local excise duties, state excise duties, you have property taxes, you have municipal taxes, you have octroys. So these are the general taxes which are covered in the area of tax litigation.
Okay, sir. Sir, participant is asking, can you give a few examples of matters that either a tax lawyer deals with or advises on?
The types of matters, okay, the tax lawyer deals with or advises on is, so as far as advisory is concerned, there can be legal opinions for tax structuring before anybody wants to enter into a particular transaction between parties. They would want to know what would be the tax implications, okay, so that they don't falter tomorrow and they file their correct returns. This is part of tax advisory. As far as the litigation is concerned, that there could be notices from the tax authorities which you need to defend, and there you will be required to file replies to those notices. There could be assessment orders passed by tax authorities which you need to challenge in appeals, and appeals from appellate authorities to the appellate tribunal to the High Court and Supreme Court. There could be matters where the authorities have acted without jurisdiction. There, such notices or orders can be challenged by way of writ petition before the High Court.
Okay. And
These
sir, how do
broadly,
you? Sorry, sir.
please continue.
No, sir, please.
These broadly, I think, is the work which centers around tax litigation.
Okay,
Yes.
sir. Sir, a participant is asking, can an advocate and a chartered accountant enter into partnership?
Enter into a partnership. I do
Yes,
not think
sir.
so. It is not permitted under the Ethics Act or even under the institute's guidelines. I do not think that partnership is possible.
Okay, sir.
You may have an agreement for providing mutual services to each other. That is permissible, but I do not think that you can enter into a partnership.
So, how to juggle between tax litigation, advisory, and compliance?
Why do you want to juggle? Who wants to juggle? Why don't you take every ball as it comes? Why should you think that this particular assignment relates to compliance, or this particular assignment relates to advisory, or this particular assignment relates to litigation? Why do you want to basket them? Why do you want to categorize them? And if it is coming your way, why not deal with it? Why not take it? Why you want to prejudge it? Why do you want to foreclose it? And if you don't do, I think if you don't do all three, then how do you know what is your calling? Unless you have tested, or rather tasted, that particular flavor of the subject, how would you know that what is your calling? And therefore, I would suggest to each one of you who are either studying law or who are lawyers who want to do this, why not test everything? And then really I would know what I really want, or rather what is my calling, or rather what excites me more. And once you answer that question, I do not think that you will need to answer that whether I need to juggle or not.
Okay, sir. Can a tax lawyer also practice civil law?
Why not? Where is the bar? We don't need to categorize anybody into silos. These are not silos. A lawyer is a lawyer. A lawyer can argue right from the Supreme Court to the district court. Okay. A lawyer can argue right from a constitutional matter to a civil dispute before the city civil court. He can argue matrimonial disputes. He can argue water disputes. He can argue tax disputes. He can argue property disputes. Okay. Therefore, there is no such bar. As far as the question is concerned, saying that if I am a tax lawyer, whether I will be able to do civil practice, answer is yes, you can continue with your civil practice. In fact, according to me, to answer your earlier question, somebody asked about a chartered accountant. I believe if you are a good civil lawyer, if you're a good civil lawyer with good knowledge of CPC, I think you can make a better tax lawyer.
So, a participant is asking, he is in the final year of law. Now, what advice would you give him? How can he start his journey in taxation law?
See, since you're in the fifth year, on your final year of your law, I would suggest that before taking into any plunge, I would suggest that you should do an internship with a tax lawyer who practices tax law for at least if not more, I do not know whether it is permissible in your courses or not, because generally what I have understood, I may be wrong, what I have understood that you have 1 month or 2 month internships. I believe that you should do at least an internship for 6 months. There is where really you will understand the workings. That is where you will understand the nitty-gritty. That is where you will understand whether it is your calling or not. And that is where you will know whether you enjoy the subject or not. And that is where your senior also would be in a position to at least guide you. So I believe that if you really want to understand, you should start an internship with a tax lawyer or a tax law firm for that matter for at least a period of 6 months.
So participant is asking, can taxation disputes be resolved amicably?
Tax disputes between parties can be maybe resolved amicably, but as far as the department is concerned, okay, whether it is the excise department or the income tax department or the GST department, those disputes cannot be resolved amicably. It is not an agreement with the government that you make. Okay, those have to be resolved through dispute resolution mechanism, which is litigation, wherein the statute provides for appeals. It cannot be resolved amicably unless of course the government comes out with the amnesty schemes. Okay, periodically the state governments, initially under the VAT regime, and the union government comes out with amnesty schemes. Okay, if you avail of that amnesty scheme, there are closures. Those are more in the nature of settlement schemes. But those are all subject to the government coming out with the settlement scheme. Otherwise, once a notice is issued, once litigation starts, there is no settlement between the parties.
So, is there any scope for a finance graduate in the area of taxation law?
Why not? I told you, you don't need to be having an accounts background or a finance background also. I know so many lawyers who are from IIT doing extremely well. I know so many lawyers who are MSc Maths, okay, and who are doing law and who are doing extremely well. So I see no reason why a finance graduate cannot take up law and study law and then practice tax law.
Sir, how can one pursue international law, taxation law, and what is the scope in the same?
International taxation, yes, it's a very good question. International taxation is another niche area of taxation. It's a very, very niche area. And if you want to really pursue international taxation, you need to be associated with lawyers or law firms who practice international taxation. And that's how you can do international taxation. There is no other
Okay.
way.
And sir, can a chartered accountant appear before a tax authority?
Chartered accountants can appear before tax authorities because tax authorities, any authorized representative can appear. Chartered accountants can in fact appear right up to the tribunal. So whether it is the income tax tribunal or the sales tax tribunal or the CSTAT, the chartered accountants can appear before the tribunal, up to the tribunal. But High Court and Supreme Court, only lawyers would be able to appear for tax related matters also.
Sir, a participant is asking, tax disputes are dealt in civil courts or any tribunals or only tribunals? Sorry.
So tax disputes, just like all other tribunals that have been set up, tax disputes are decided by specialized bodies. These specialized bodies are called tribunals, where you have specialized members who are experts at the subject, okay, who preside those courts, okay, those tribunals. And appeals generally lie to those tribunals where the tax disputes between the tax authorities and the taxpayer are decided by the tribunals. They are not civil courts per se. They are not civil courts per se. They are specialized bodies. They are created under the special statute, whether it is the income tax tribunal or it is the sales tax tribunal or it is the CSTAT, that hears the controversy relating to tax between the taxpayer and the tax authorities.
Good evening, sir. Sir, I think field of taxation law is very difficult as compared to the other fields of practice because there are so many amendments every year, and in other fields, once the new law comes into force, we are supposed to forget the old law. But a taxation lawyer has to remember what was the law prevalent in that particular year and remember all the past amendment history of the laws also. So I think it's a very difficult field of practice. What is your opinion about this, sir?
That part I agree with you that you need to be abreast with the law. There are amendments every year. It is unlike other statutes which are not amended. Of course, now instead of the old IPC and Evidence Act, we have the new law. but that has come after me, probably after 100 years or so. But in tax laws, you have amendments every year. You have notifications issued, you have circulars issued, and then you have judgments from various tribunals across the country. And many a times there are conflicting opinions also of the tribunals of the courts. In such a situation, you are saying it is very difficult for practicing tax law vis-a-vis other laws. Now, again, the difficulty, as far as I see it, is very subjective. If you really want to pursue the subject, then I do not think it will be difficult or challenging for you. But as far as the general perception is concerned, yes, I would agree with you that many people feel that tax law is far more tougher. And that I feel people feel because it's very dry, unlike criminal law, which is very exciting, or unlike family and matrimonial disputes or property disputes. And that's one. And the other reason why people feel tax law is more challenging or difficult is because it is statute based, it is law based. Whereas other civil disputes are more fact based, which can be decided either way based on facts. Whereas here, more of law is involved. And therefore, many people find it challenging. I agree, it is challenging, but I would not say it is vis-a-vis comparing with any other law field of law that is being practiced. I feel every field of law, it's equally challenging.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Participants, if you all wish, you all can directly ask your queries. So, a participant is asking, some tax matters are conducted before a magistrate. Am I correct?
No tax matters are conducted before the magistrate. There could be matters before the magistrate where complaints would have been filed that an offense has been committed under the tax law. So there are certain offenses which also for non-payment of tax or evasion of tax, okay, they are treated as offenses for which you can be tried before the magistrate. Those can be matters where the private complaint is filed by the tax authorities before the magistrate saying that an offense has been committed by the taxpayer and therefore he should be tried before the magistrate. Those are the only matters which will go to the magistrate. The tax disputes will not be decided by the magistrate.
So next question, a participant wants to know your view on the new amnesty scheme proposed under GST.
My view on the new amnesty scheme. The scheme is yet to be notified. We yet to see the final draft of the notification as notified. But as it stands in the finance bill, okay, I think it is a measure for easing litigation. One. Two, I do not see any relief being granted there to the assessee per se because the scheme says that you have to deposit 100% of the tax. And that scheme is only applicable to section notices where notices have been issued under section 73 and not 74. Therefore, I personally feel that the scheme is very, very limited and may not see the kind of success that earlier schemes have seen.
Okay, sir.
So I want to know, to practice taxation law, do we need to do a course in it, or do you recommend that one should do a course and then get into the practice?
Very good question, madam, that whether we should do. See, I'll tell you honestly, there are a lot of courses available. Okay, many of these courses are also conducted by the institute. And let me also tell you, many of the courses which are being conducted are very good also. I do not see any compulsion that you need to do these courses and then get into the practice. But these courses certainly help you get the feel of the subject, where you will at least have a flavor of the subject and you know what's in store, what's going to come, and what lies ahead. That helps you prepare better. That helps you prepare better for the challenge that you are going to face. And that helps you to decide whether you want to walk down this road or not. It is always better than choosing at the inception rather than walking and then coming back.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Sir, do you recommend any institute where we could do the course?
Madam, there are several institutes that are conducting these courses, but many of the courses which I find good are conducted by the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. They conduct these courses. You can find out about them.
All right, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Good evening, sir. Again, one more question. Sir, earlier I understand taxation, Income Tax Act was classified as civil law because there was only penalty and interest, or say sometimes as quasi-criminal because there was provision for fine. So is it true that after 2017, there are, say, income tax authorities have power of arrest, or do we classify it now as a minor criminal law where there is imprisonment also? So has some situation changed after 2017 amendment, sir?
Very
Thank
good, sir. I do not think that the amendment has caused that. The income tax authorities always had power to arrest. The GST
Okay.
authorities always have power to arrest. Okay, that if they find that any offense has been committed which warrants arrest of any person, of any accused, they always had power of arrest. So therefore, they can continue to do that where they find that these are cases of evasion and an offense has been committed as defined under the statute. They have certainly power of arrest. Those will be criminal proceedings. Okay, those need not be necessarily tax proceedings. After the arrest is done or after the investigation is concluded, a show cause notice would be issued. Okay, that would initiate the civil proceedings, which is the tax related proceedings, where you will file a reply and adjudication proceedings will take place.
Okay, thank you, sir. That means, does the income tax tribunal has civil powers as well as the magisterial powers?
Sir, the
Both.
income tax tribunal is not a civil court, though they have borrowed certain provisions from the CPC, saying that for the purpose
Okay.
of attendance of witness, summons, etc., they may have powers of the civil court. The income tax tribunal may have powers of the civil court, but they are not a civil court per se.
Okay. So while trying the offenses of imprisonment, it had magisterial powers also.
So for trying for an offense, the magistrate will try. He has powers. The magistrate has powers, sir. He will try that whether he will try you whether the prosecution, that is the income tax department or the excise department, is in a position to prove that you have committed an offense as defined under the act. That will be
Okay.
tried before the magistrate. Magistrate will certainly decide you, and if he decides to convict you, okay, you will have a right of appeal to the appellate forum, whether it is the sessions court or it is the high court. You will have a right of appeal.
Okay. 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 Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
So, how do you personally deal with amendments, frequent amendments, as they are very frustrating at times?
Why amendments are frustrating? It's a developing law, no? It's a growing law. It's a dynamic law, and therefore it should change. It should change with changing times. It should change with changing needs of people. Therefore, I, for one, of course, it's again very subjective. How much is too much? So therefore, it is all subjective whether if they have 10 amendments in 1 year, whether it is good or not, or if they have one amendment in 10 years, whether it is good or not. It's all subjective, but I think it's a dynamic law. It changes with time and it must change with times. As far as how to keep abreast is, of course, with today's day and age of technology, I think things have become much, much, much easier than our earlier times. I mean, but what we had seen where you had to physically make note of each and every amendment, of each and every judgment, and I used to maintain a register and we used to physically update the statute books. I do not think that is a challenge today because everything is available on the online portals, or it is available on internet, or it is available in media pages. Whatever amendments are there, you have to go through those amendments and you have to keep track of those amendments. Even otherwise, these days with technology, they will the portals only or the websites will inform you what are the amendments right from day one in this particular section till date.
Okay, sir. So, how can a lawyer attract clients as most clients are engaged with chartered accountants?
So the question is, how do you do phishing? Okay, answer is very straightforward and simple again. Okay, I go back to the first question that I answered. You do your work honestly. Okay, be honest to the work. Please be honest to your work. Please be honest to the brief, and always be honest to the court. Please be honest to the court. You will never have to go after the client will come after you. The chartered accountant will bring the client. Please focus on the work. Please focus on the subject and the work will flow.
Question: when it comes to tax matters, can only an advocate specializing in the area of taxation law appear before the High Court?
There's no such thing. There is no such thing that only a person who is practicing tax law can appear before the court. Anybody can appear before the court. Any lawyer, anybody can become a counsel who will appear. I have done personally, though a tax law is my forte and majority, I have done many matters relating to arbitration and conciliation. I have argued bails. I have argued anticipatory bails. There is no such bar.
So the next question: what is the evidence that is submitted in courts for a tax matter generally?
Again, evidence depends on case to case or matter to matter. What would be the evidence in one case may not be the evidence in the other case. Ordinarily, the case of the revenue is that there is certain tax which was due to the government has not been paid by the taxpayer. So the taxpayer needs to prove that this tax was not payable. So the evidence, this could be either a pure question of law or it could be a mixed question of law and fact. In that event, the taxpayer needs to lead in evidence as to why the tax was not paid. There could be certain cases, this is one variety of case. There could be various cases which are fact based, saying that you have received money from X, but you have not paid tax on that. So there you could lead in evidence saying that I never got money from X. So this evidence could be in the form of statements. Evidence could be in the form of cross-examination of witnesses. Evidence could be in the form of documentary evidence like filing of balance sheets, filing of certificates from chartered accountants. This would be the evidence to prove your case. So again, it all depends on matter to matter. Every matter will have a different degree, different quality, and different kind of evidence that you need to lead in to prove your case.
Okay, sir. So, what are the challenges that are faced by a taxation lawyer?
The challenges, the same challenges that are faced by any lawyer, that faced by any lawyer, okay, or rather any professional. All of us as professionals always face problems of stress, fatigue, finding clients, retaining clients, and doing good work.
So, I think we're done with the queries. So, we can end the session.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so
Yeah.
much, Malvika. Thank you for having me. And I hope that if not, I've added some value to all the participants and at least cleared some air about this area of practice.
Thank you so much, sir, for mentoring our participants. It was a great learning experience. Really can't thank you enough for sharing your expertise and your experiences with us today.
Thank you so much, madam. Thank you so much. Thank you,
Thank
everybody.
you.